Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is The Lady Designer, and today I would like to talk with you guys about Planet Coaster 2, but also frontier developments in general. I think it's fair enough to say that Planet Coaster 2 is literally giving mixed feelings to many players, including myself. I actually did make a post yesterday also on Twitter, also did review the game on Steam, and I, at the moment, just cannot recommend it, how I feel about the game. Just to show you guys what I shared on Twitter as well, I really want to love Planet Coaster 2, but every time that I try to create something, I rage quit because things just don't work as easily as they do in Planet games. Advanced pathing takes forever, having to recolor an aquatic rock one by one because the game just doesn't save your recently used colors. No multi-select option. I do have to get back on that one because someone did point out that pressing U actually does open up the multi-select option, so that one is not relevant anymore. Having to click 4 times every time you want to exit a menu. These are just to name a few, but the game really screams console to me, which I think it's fine. And for those of you, I'm not hating on console. I'm not hating on console players. But it does mean that there are choices made. I feel like there are choices made sometimes per se for a console, which are not really user-friendly for PC players. There are limits in there, like guest limits, blueprint limits. There are just so many decisions made that feel like they've made them because they were also creating this game for console. Which just feels like they're forgetting about the PC players that have been loving and enjoying other Planet games for 8 years and with thousands of hours. Like, for me, it really feels like Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo felt like really incredible foundations. They were not perfect, definitely not. We'll get back to that topic in a bit as well. But I really was expecting, with the amount of experience and upgrades and improvements over all these years, that they will be just so ready to create like this amazing sequel, being Planet Coaster 2, with the potential to bring in like even greater improvements, which they also of course did in many ways. Like being able to create like custom rides, for example, is fantastic. And of course, like water parks is a completely new feature to the game, which also is giving some mixed feelings to some when it comes down to like slide physics, or in general, like how realistic slides look. Are they super game breaking? Definitely not, but there are definitely a lot of questions. I know that a lot of coaster players or people that love coasters are quite disappointed about how some coasters look, why some options are available for only a few coasters and not for any coaster. I'm not really a coaster person, so I'm not going into that, but I'm sure that anyone watching right now, being a coaster lover, knows exactly what I mean. There are just a lot of decisions made for Planet Coaster 2 that leaves you questioning why. Why did you do that? There are just so many weird decisions being made, and great features from other Planet games are missing. And I just don't really understand why. Honestly, this game feels like the other Planet games just never existed and they started from scratch with Planet Coaster 2. Like, I don't know, it feels like some kind of core base game of Planet Coaster that someone took and was like, okay, now I'm just going to create a completely new game with a new pathing tool that's going to be Planet Coaster 2. And nowhere in this development it feels like people that worked on Planet Coaster, I know it's not true, but just the feeling that I have trying to explain to you guys, but it feels like during the development, no one of Planet Coaster and no one from Planet Zoo has been working on Planet Coaster 2 to share the improvements, to make sure that so many improvements from the other Planet games were implemented right away in the base game of Planet Coaster 2. And it just can't really wrap my head around it why they did that or why it feels that way. Like, so many things with Planet Coaster 2 just screams to me that there has not been enough testing. Like, we all know that since end of last year there were layoffs, a lot of people have been fired. So I'm trying to get this picture of like, okay, they have fewer people to work on this game, everyone is working on their own department, everyone is putting in so much love and dedication. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not hating here on the developers that are working with so much love and passion on the game, but I kind of feel like it was all being put together at some point, and there just were not enough people to just test it. I mean, some of you may have seen it. Rudy Renkemo made a video as well about just in general, like, why Frontier? Why did you make so many weird decisions for Planet Coaster 2? So I'm not going to repeat all of that. Definitely recommend you to watch that. There are definitely things in there that I totally understand Rudy as well, being like, just why did they make these decisions? Are they super game breaking? No, they're definitely not all game breaking, and definitely things that just can be improved over time. But the fact that he was able to like pinpoint out so many things on basically day one of being in early access when we got our hands on the game, it concerns me because it bugs me as well, because I think to myself, like, why does it have to be Rudy Renkemo being one of the first people that opens the game and just feels like, what's going on here? Why does it feel this weird? Why is there, for me, it feels like, was there no one inside of Frontier of their testers that were able to tackle these issues while they were just simply playing? I mean, if I talk for myself, and you guys probably have seen the videos, but I had performance issues, so I wasn't really able to get into Planet Coaster 2 at all during early access because my game was stuttering and having so many issues. At some point, well, more than a week later when I had early access, I was able to fix that. I'm still not sure how I did that, but okay, I had performance issues, wasn't able to play much during early access. So when I made those videos just to tell you guys about my performance issues and later on about my issues being fixed, because I just really felt like, okay, the game is launching and people were worried because of my performance issues that the game would be giving other people also performance issues. So I really just felt the need to inform you guys, like, hey, performance-wise, I don't have that many issues anymore, so everything is fine on that regards. But I already told you guys during that video, like, the only time that I was able to play the game, I already rage quit because I was doing like this pond in the middle and then try to create like a path around it. And it took me hours, literally hours, to be able to just create the pathing. And it was so wonky, and it really frustrated me so much. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just, I'm new to Planet Coaster 2. I've been playing 5,000 to 6,000 hours in other Planet games, but okay, this pathing tool is new. I'm probably trying too hard things or whatnot, but it did really annoy me, and it made me rage quit the game already due to the pathing tool. I didn't have much time after my game was fixed with the performance, so I jumped back into the game the weekend later, and I was like, okay, the game has launched now. It probably has some fixes as well, so let me just try it again. And I just started out with a little river of a swimming pool. And I got a little bit frustrated already because of the edges. The edges were not super smooth and I wasn't really able to really fix it, but okay. And then I started placing down some rocks. That was pretty much the only thing that I did do. And I used the aquatic rocks, which are purple in-game. And every time I picked a rock, I had to recolor it. Every time, all over again. And I was like, well, why? Why do I need to do that? Okay, maybe I didn't group it or whatnot. Okay, let's make a group. Let's try it again. No, I'm just not able to put down rocks. And it will not save the color that I chose for the first rock. And it just bugs me because... yeah, sure, I can make a workaround. I can put down all the rocks and recolor them then, and then select them from there and duplicate them so it will save the colors. Yeah, of course I can do that. Of course there are workarounds. Of course you can stop being frustrated and just do something else. But it bugs me. I've been playing Planet games for 8 years now with thousands of hours, and a feature that has been working so well in both those games is just not in here. It's just not working in Planet Coaster 2, and I just genuinely don't understand why this decision have been made. There are so many big pieces in the game, which you now have a scaling option, but then sometimes the pieces are just so big you can't even scale them smaller than 4 meters. It's just, I don't know, it just annoys me being like, why? I just want to have my small pieces. Like, okay, scaling is a really neat feature, but if that means that so many pieces are just still way too big, and then like 4 meters is like big already, but that's like the minimum. So yeah, the rock situation here with not saving the options was again a reason for me to just rage quit the game and be like, oh, I just want to jump back into Planet Zoo at this point because, I don't know, it's just the small little frustrations that are just really ruining my experience here and standing in the way of actually loving this game. I mean, I have seen some really incredible things, like really incredible things and creations on Twitter passing by, on YouTube passing by. I have been sharing a lot of these things. I mean, Floss was an incredible creator already on with Planet Coaster 1, and she has now been creating these incredible rides. Yura has been doing fantastic things here. I mean, the graphics look amazing, the pieces look amazing. I just really want to love this game as well, as much as other people are doing. We have Plastic Swans here using like these new animatronic pieces to create her own carousel, which is just a really fantastic idea. Beyond Drew right over here, I mean, just look at this. This looks simply fantastic, and we can go on here for quite a long time. Rubo Trillions, these are all people from the Planet Coaster community back in the days. So yeah, the game definitely has some huge potential here to become a really great game, but the problem just is there are just so many issues at this point. And we can actually go back to my post here. I was actually surprised with how many people were already responding here in the comments as well. This is what I tried to do. This was taking me hours, not to mention the rain. It was constantly raining and there was no option. They're working on that option, but to turn off rain in sandbox mode, like it's the small little things, right? We were able to do that in Planet Zoo, so why was that not an option? But okay, like rain, okay, it doesn't stop raining, but it's just, it's the little things that is just super frustrating in here. And you can tell that from here as well, from the reviews on Steam. There are just so many people here that want to love this game, but are just not able to do that at this point. Now, obviously, there are also people in here of like cooperation, that they were expecting to be able to work together in a park, which was obviously not the thing, but in general, like a lot of people just being super excited, but then just disappointed in many ways, and especially the UI. So many weird clicks, so many weird decisions that you have to like really search in the game, like where can I find my rides? I mean, I had like this hands-on a few weeks ago before the game launched, and even I was like, I couldn't find any rides, but they basically just changed the UI so much that things were just so confusing if you're used to the other Planet games. But people also experiencing bugs, guests being stuck, not queuing properly. I'm obviously not going over all of these people being negative about the game, but I really do feel like there are so many little things and frustrations here that could have been just so easily fixed if there was some proper testing here. And I really don't understand why they made this decision, is the fact that, well, Planet Coaster 1, we had like, what was it? Half a year of an alpha stage with like a lot of feedback of players. I was myself playing since day 3 or something like that. So I've been there with the development, and I know that a lot of Planet Coaster players have been there since day 1 of the alphas of Planet Coaster. And Frontier was so open for critique. They were so open for any feedback in general. Like, it really felt like we were all part of the development of Planet Coaster. And it took like, I think it was like 6 months or something that we had like this alpha phase, and that was like via this launch pad of the Frontier Development's website. And then we got into Steam, but then we got like this beta game. So there was only a beta game that was added into your game, into Steam library. And we were able to play the game. I think it was like 2 weeks or maybe 10 days, something like that. So with the beta, we were still able to bring in a lot of feedback. And obviously, when people are playing a beta, you are a lot more reasonable or understanding when you are a player of the game. Like, hey, this is still a beta, so of course there are issues. And Frontier did a lot with the community feedback just since day 1 from the alphas and until the beta. And then the game launched, so the beta version in our Steam library changed to Planet Coaster. And that was the day, I think it was, let me just check. So that was on the 17th of November. But already I actually did receive a reminder on Facebook. But it actually was the case that on the 9th of November 2016, the game went into beta. So the 9th until the 17th, so that's like 8 days of beta testing. And yeah, Frontier was able to actually bring in a lot of changes into the game. The game was still definitely not perfect. It was definitely not finished. I mean, Planet Coaster was one of their first games in the Planet genre, in the Planet franchise. So of course they were still learning and improving the game along the way. So I think the first year we got like this free winter update. We got the spring update. We got the summer update. Actually, not sure there was like this autumn free update, but we did have a lot of, I think that may have been like an anniversary update. But all these updates were pretty big and adding just a lot of stuff in the base game still. So I see here Fireworks, for example. Fireworks was one of those things that was added in the first year of Planet Coaster development, but the whole first year we didn't even get any paid DLC because Frontier was still adding and trying to finish the game. Like, the development of Planet Coaster is definitely not even comparable to how things went with Planet Zoo, which is the second thing I want to talk about again, because like, I think Planet Coaster, if we go to SteamDB, And we have 3 games here. So we have Planet Zoo. We are comparing the 3 games here. We have Planet Coaster, but then it's really good to remember this one released on the 17th, but there was a different game with the beta. So this one, all the information that we have of Planet Coaster 1 is from the day that it actually launched. But I think before that, there were I really have no idea actually how many people were playing the alpha and how many people were playing the beta. So all we know is the information that we have from the 17th of November of Planet Coaster. And then we have Planet Coaster 2. If you just simply compare these 2 with each other, so Planet Coaster 1 and Planet Coaster 2, considering that Planet Coaster 1 actually, I think, had more players with the beta, but it's hard to tell, so we can only go out from this. But I kind of feel like Planet Coaster 2 is already not doing as well as Planet Coaster 1, unfortunately. But I kind of feel like that is also the complete vibe that we are getting here if we just look at the improvements and development of the game and also how Frontier development is working. But we can definitely also say at this point, like, Planet Zoo definitely was 2 times as popular, but I think that just also comes down to the niche. I'm guessing that Frontier Development was hoping that the popularity of Planet Zoo would have maybe also influenced more of the players of Planet Coaster 2. However, of course, these are only Steam players, so we don't know anything about Xbox or PlayStation or what was it? Epic Games, I think. So yeah, obviously there are a lot more players in total, but just if we can compare PC players, then you can see that it's not doing as well. But if we then go further, via SteamDB, we can actually see all games from Frontier Developments and compare their total rating. I only did change this to filter by type, so games only and not the DLCs. So at this point, you can obviously tell that Planet Coaster 1, when it comes down to the rating, did equally as good as Planet Zoo. So these games definitely did do very well. But I do have to admit, when Planet Zoo launched and also during early access, I had a lot of issues, but I think the core game definitely was all right. But franchise mode, for example, was completely broken. Like, if you just go to the reviews here and just select it on customer reviews, you can see, like, we had well, I'm not really sure if it was the 1st of November, but say everything in November, there were like 10, almost 11,000 positive reviews against 1,500 negative reviews. And there were a lot of same type of reviews here. So a lot of people were like, oh, I have been looking forward to this game for so long, but there are just so many things that are not working properly. The UI is clunky, it's difficult to navigate, and at this point, Planet Zoo was pretty much looking more like Planet Coaster, and I kind of feel like Planet Coaster 2 was supposed to be more easy, but yet it kind of feels even more complicated. There are just so many options, and I can only imagine that console players, I mean, I can just move around with my mouse, but when you're on a console, it's all slower, I think, and you have to navigate through all these menus. I can only imagine that it's even harder to play a game like this with a controller on a console, and especially if things are just not working as well, then yeah, I would totally rage quit as well, especially on a console. And that's also something, some feedback that I definitely get back in here, like, it's really not only down to PC things being frustrated or like decisions being made for a console, making it harder for PC players. No, they're equally as annoying on a console. So yeah, there are definitely decisions made of the UI and all the buttons and all the menus being hidden behind each other that are frustrating for everyone pretty much. But still, the amount of negative reviews comparing to positive reviews in the first month of Planet Zoo were okay. Like, Frontier was able to go out and fix the issues and make sure that over time, over the months, over the years, things were working better, working easier, etc. So for a game like Planet Zoo, even though there were, say, 10 to 15% negative reviews, overall the game was very positively received. But Planet Coaster 2 definitely has issues here, because as of right now, we are at 60% being positive and 40% being negative, including myself. And I'm obviously very open to change my review at some point. But as of right now, I kind of just really feel like there are so many missed opportunities here and so many weird decisions being made of Planet Coaster 2 that I just can't really enjoy it at this point. And yeah, sure, Frontier is able to fix that. I mean, they did announce their first hotfix. We're being blown away already by the incredible coasters, water rides, and creations you have made. And with all your feedback and support, our first update for Planet Coaster 2 will be coming tomorrow. So that was the 8th. That was 2 days ago. Here we go. We are now getting different changes. So there are PC only changes. So the workshop will no longer have a limit. So it will have a limit, but it will go from 1 gigabyte to 4 gigabyte. This will increase the amount of content you can download. And there are some graphic fixes here. And then on all platforms, there are issues being addressed, fix an issue related to coasters, cars and rides, scenery disappearing, fix an issue with the brightness of interiors, the turn off depth of field and motion blur. I really want to point this one out because that is also part of a lot of the negative reviews. I still don't understand why this was a thing. I already experienced that right away when I got my hands on a few weeks ago into the game. Like, the depth of field and the motion blur were horrible. Many people actually did point that out as far as I know, and yet they did not change that during launch. Not really sure if this is like a thing which they turned on to make sure that performance would be better on any device. I'm not really sure why this decision was made, but yeah, it's been turned off now for new players. But if you're all are still playing this game and feel like, why does my game look so weird field of view, weird blurriness, turn off depth of field and motion blur. You can see it right over here in the settings with this little screen option right here underneath motion blur and depth of field. So it's now being turned off. And then right over here, they are already addressing some of the feedback that they are getting from the community. So they will be increasing the guest cap for PC players in sandbox mode, allowing multiple guests on Flume. Stations with separate load and unload stations are being added, which was a highly requested thing for coaster players. Weather, as I already said, the ability to change the weather in sandbox mode. It was raining so long for me. It almost was depressing. Like, I just want to control my weather. Why was that not in there? Well, they're working on it. It will be added in future free updates. Video billboards that can be triggered with event sequencer, including the ability to display custom videos for PC players, custom sounds and music for PC players. All these kind of things that make me feel like, oh, I'm super happy that you are addressing these things, Frontier. But why did you not think of some of these things before you launched the game? There are just so many things that could have been just avoid it. Why not delay the game if there are so many? Well, of course, you don't have to delay the game because there is no weather setting, or you don't have to delay a game because you don't have billboards or something. But there are just a lot of things that makes me feel like, why did you not think of that before you launched the game? Why? Seriously, why? Which makes me want to talk again a little bit about testing. I mean, yeah, okay, there have been layoffs last year. Okay, maybe Frontier has too few people to work on that, but this is not a new thing. This is definitely not a new thing. I think with Planet Coaster, which was the first one, which was definitely a different way of developing with a lot of community feedback back and forth. They even actually at some point, not really sure which pack it was, there was a rides pack, and they actually did ask a few content creators and community members that were playing the game a lot, like, hey, would you guys like to help us with testing? So we got our hands on that one ride pack, and we actually did find some really game-breaking bugs, which made Frontier delay that pack because the pack was not ready yet to be released. And I think in general, the overall community feedback was just super positive, being like, hey, we're so happy you're addressing this. And I think the pack was like delayed 1 or 2 weeks, something like that, which was just amazing. And after that, we never got a situation again where Frontier asked the players, content creators, community members to ask to test their game. And I do remember from Planet Zoo, and back in the days, I definitely had a different relationship with Frontier. Like, I was being invited a lot to events and whatnot, and I had so much love for Frontier that back in the days, with Planet Zoo, when it launched and all the problems that it had in early access, I just didn't want to see it myself even. Like with Planet Coaster 1, people always thought that I was paid being so positive about the game, but I genuinely just felt that. I didn't want to see any bugs. I was always doing workarounds and whatnot, and Planet Zoo came and there were so many problems, especially with franchise mode, and I was like, oh my god, this game is just not finished. This game should be delayed for at least like half a year or something, but it didn't. And I just really tried to be as positive as possible, but so I didn't really let my audience know back in the days how frustrated I was. I really tried to look to the bright side and everything that was good, and then tried to just ignore the negative because I wanted to love the game so much. And I still love the game, don't get me wrong, but I remember that feeling so well that I really felt like this game is just so not ready to be launched yet. This game should be delayed for at least half a year. And I remember that at least Sylv, Rudy, and I, we offered Frontier very often, being like, hey, maybe it's a good idea if you ask us or other people to test any new DLC or whatnot before it will actually launch. But they never used that opportunity. They never wanted our help. And I guess along the way, you kind of got used to things not being tested. I think if I talk for a lot of community members, they all just know at this point, like, yeah, Frontier just didn't test it. Frontier just didn't test this. Frontier just didn't test it. And it's like, okay, we're kind of getting used to it, but it's not okay. It's not okay to be saying that for so many years now. And now we are in the same situation. But the difference now is that a lot of people from a few years ago who were feeling a lot more positive and a lot more supportive to the company, now with also other games being such a hot mess when it launches and people just regretting buying City Skylines 2, or there are plenty of other games I know that people are just disappointed because of how the game launched, and people are just not as willing anymore to accept all these issues. And I'm also getting to this point where I'm like, geez, Frontier, come on, we have been here, we have been warning you for so long, we have been telling you, like, hey, these things are just not working properly. It feels like they're not properly tested. And it's been something that we have been repeating for so long, and that is probably why my frustrations are now just so much higher maybe than it would have been if that would not have been an issue for so many years. And it's so unfortunate because I just genuinely love the Planet games, but over the years so much have been changed within Frontier Developments, and they just don't want to listen, or I don't know what it is. But just look at the souvenir shops that we got for Planet Zoo. I think that's just the greatest example that launched in December last year. And I think to this day, like in the beginning, the first 2 to 3 months, they were just completely broken. They were not tested. And it really is frustrating because they're just throwing out some free updates here, like, hey, look, we have custom souvenir shops, but then like it was actually really game breaking the first 2 weeks or something. Like people were not able to get into their files anymore, whatnot. And then they did some hot fixes. I think, I'm not really sure, like, did they actually leave us for the whole holidays? Probably, with all these issues. Okay, of course they are allowed to also get their holiday, and then after they got back from their holiday, there were still so many issues, and it took maybe 2 to 3 months, something like that, before there was actually a fix that kind of fixed most of the issues. But still, until this date, they're not completely working on many devices. Well, they're not on the console edition just yet. I think they're not being added yet, but on PC for many people, they're still not working, including me. But also do not forget, with many Planet games, it's super frustrating, but some people do experience XYZ issues, while someone else is not having any of these issues, which makes it also harder for a company like Frontier Developments to be able to find all these issues and then be able to fix it. So I'm obviously not blaming them entirely, but it's just been a thing, and I'm just feeling sad about it and disappointed that they're just proving over and over again that things are not properly being tested, and there's so many frustrations at this point that they could have avoided. And it just makes me so sad because I was so much looking forward to Planet Coaster 2. But at this point, I'm just honestly not feeling it. And if we then just go back to Frontier Developments and the overview of all the games that they launched, it's obviously not weird to think that Frontier did decide to focus more on creative management simulation games. I mean, these games are definitely their best selling game still, and that they're including the console edition now also for Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo 2 as well. I'm gonna have my doubts now more and more about Planet Zoo 2, if it's going to be the same hell ride as with Planet Coaster 2, but okay. F1 Manager games did a lot less not so good when it launched. We had 22 was 27%, 23, 77%, 24 already declined. Elite Dangerous has been having a lot of issues, especially when looking at the newest consoles. I mean, the Odyssey pack of Elite Dangerous was terribly received. If I just go back to all, apply new filter, and let's just go to name. The Odyssey was 41%, which was launched in 21. The Pilot Starter Pack, I'm not really sure what this exactly is. It might be just a few skins or whatnot. So that's why I did exclude the DLCs, because I'm not entirely sure of all of these packs, what they exactly include. But I know that the Odyssey pack was definitely something that was, so many people were so excited for it and just were so disappointed, to the point that it was just so broken that I'm actually not sure. I think they pulled it from one of the consoles or something, or at least they said like, yeah, okay, we're just not able to fix this. It's just done, which is just super sad. But yeah, I kind of feel like things have just not been going well for Frontier, and I think honestly, many things just come down to testing and taking the responsibility. Like, okay, maybe there are people that are actually testing it, but if there is someone in the management department that just says, yeah, okay, I see that, but I just don't want to fix that. I don't really see priority in doing that because there are other things that need to be fixed first. That could be, but we as players are noticing all these little issues, and maybe there are people I'm calling constantly that they're not testing it properly, but maybe it's the management that is just like, yeah, no, I don't really want to spend money and time on that. It's just not a priority. But this is what happens. Planet Coaster 2 is now at, where are we? Planet Coaster 2, 60%. So that should be somewhere over here. We have the subscription pass of Planet Coaster 1. Planet Coaster 2, here we go. Here we are, Frontier. And in complete honesty, I just don't really know. Looking at the times like this, where there are tons of games being released, obviously this is a very different niche, so maybe they're able to get out of the 60% in a few months. I really hope so. But looking at City Skylines 2, people are a lot harder now and a lot less forgiving. I think that's the best thing to just say. So I'm pretty sure that will be the same core community of Planet Coaster 1 that will continue to play this game no matter what. And they will, just like with Planet Zoo, because there were so many players with Planet Zoo on day 1, but they never returned. And I think at some point, the core players were the people that kept playing, but the people that left with Planet Zoo in the first month with so many issues, they just never returned. And that's a pity, because Planet Zoo is an amazing game, but that's also something that Frontier Developments really needs to face now. I've been saying this for months now, but they should not have effed it up, because people won't come back once they are disappointed, and it just really saddens me at this point. And I think also just looking at the stocks of Frontier Developments, as soon as Planet Coaster 2 launched, it's been declining, and that is definitely not something that Frontier can use right now. I really genuinely hope that they are able to still reverse this, but I seriously have my doubts at this point, and I really don't know if Planet Coaster 2 is going to be the game that is going to reverse this. Maybe we are going up slightly, but people are disappointed now, and people are selling, and will they come back with Jurassic World Evolution 3? Will they come back with Planet Zoo 2? I know one thing for sure, and this is not what Frontier was hoping for. They definitely wanted their stocks to go up since launch day of Planet Coaster 2, so this must be a big disappointment inside of Frontier, and I can only hope. And I think that is something that many people have been saying, including their own employees the past few years. They have to fail first before they will realize that they're not on the right track. And I'm not really sure. Will Planet Coaster 2 be that point that they will realize that they do need to change something? They do need to test their games properly, to test their DLCs properly before releasing it to the public. Okay, I really didn't want this video to end this negative, but it's a feeling that I've been having for quite a long time now, that I feel like Frontier is not on the right track. And I'm afraid that Planet Coaster 2 just shows, it really does feel like they did not learn from the amazing development that they had, and all the improvements and all the things they learned from their previous Planet games. I feel like Planet Coaster 2 is a step back. And yeah, I think time will tell if they are able to actually reverse this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just super curious to hear your thoughts. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below. How do you guys feel about, especially if you are a Planet game player over the years, how do you guys feel they've been handling development? Yeah, sure, of course they are listening to their community, but sometimes it feels a little bit like too late. If you see what I mean, like some things just should have been tackled before people complain about it. But yeah, they do listen. They are fixing things. They are working on things to add them in the near future. But I really do wonder if it is too late or not, because if we are honest here, if more shareholders are going to decide to sell their stocks, there is not that much room here to get to zero, guys. So Frontier really needs to step up, and I kind of feel like their sorry card will be pulled very soon, which also gives me mixed feelings. I mean, how many sorry cards have we seen over the past year with several games? It's sad. I really was hoping for a different outcome for Planet Coaster 2, and I was really hoping that this game would be doing fantastic. But now, yeah, we need to put all our faith into Frontier Developments, and hopefully they will address the things. Hopefully they are able to fix these things in time to be able to reverse these very mixed feelings that I'm also feeling right now. Sorry for the long video. I have no idea how long I have been talking. I've really been trying to spread my feelings here. Just super curious to hear your thoughts at this point. And if you're playing Planet Coaster 2, how are you feeling? Are you experiencing the same things that I have? Or have you been like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about? And also, if you're playing on the console, I genuinely want to know how you are feeling about all these little menus, all the little buttons, and all the little options, and all the clicking. I don't play on a console, so I don't have any idea what to expect. I can only assume. So would love to hear your thoughts, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm sorry that it's not the positive, happy video that I wanted to share about Planet Coaster 2. I'm not going to touch this game probably for the next coming weeks. Going to expect a new DLC in December. So yeah, we have to wait and see how the state of the game will be at that point, and if it's going to convince me to get back into this game. Let's hope so. As of right now, I'm just going to jump back into some Planet Zoo and just enjoy some zoo building. I think that's, in this case, the best thing to do for myself. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like at this video if you guys enjoyed it, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys!